tonight. As fall sports get underway and runners from all over descend on Regina for the Queen City Marathon, we look at the impact the air quality is having on outdoor events. Also, it's been a record-breaking tornado season for a different reason this year. Plus, how a rider-loving Regina family landed on Family Feud Canada.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Friday, September the 8th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening and thanks for watching. Saskatchewan's largest marathon is on its mark. Several thousand people are expected in Regina this weekend for the Queen City Marathon. Fair weather is in the forecast, and organizers are hoping it stays that way. Nicholas Frew reports.
It's race weekend in Regina. Organizers and volunteers of the Queen City Marathon are preparing for more than 4,400 participants from across the world. The race director says even though registrations aren't at pre-pandemic levels, it does feel like a festival again.
As a kid, you wake up Christmas morning and you almost are in tears as you see the presents under the tree. I look at the race participants, the race volunteers, as almost my presence under the tree. So it's with huge emotion. It's being at a start-finish line for someone like myself is very challenging to do because you know the stories that exist behind each one of those individuals.
A nighttime 5K run Friday kicks off the weekend's events, but the major races are scheduled for Sunday. Environment Canada forecasts a mix of sun and cloud and highs of 22 degrees all weekend in Regina. Regina has seen a record amount of smoke fill the city so far this summer. The Air Quality Health Index suggests air pollution should be low risk this weekend, but winds make it hard to predict where wildfire smoke will drift. This respiratory expert suggests people check the forecast before their event and have a plan in case they notice discomfort during their run.
If I were to have significant chest pain, what am I going to do? And make a plan ahead of time, not in the heat of the moment saying, I'm not sure, and you're tired and you're emotional.
Weimer says organizers will be watching the conditions throughout the weekend. Volunteers will also be stationed along the various race routes, and paramedics will be on hand just in case. Nicholas Frew, CBC News, Regina.
A 36-year-old man is the second cyclist to die in Saskatoon in 3.5 months. Many spoke up about bike safety when a 33-year-old woman was killed back in May, and those calls are getting louder again. Darren Kinowis died earlier this week after being hit by a vehicle at the intersection of 19th Street and Avenue P. SGI says there were about 120 collisions between bicycles or motorcycles with vehicles each year over the past 5 years. Between 2017 and 2021, 4 people died in those crashes.
And we know with the death of Natasha Fox, this is something that's on people's minds. How do we make sure we can create safer cycling networks? And actually not far from P and 19th, if we go further south from there, and in that western area, we are building out the Dudley Avenue bike corridor and are working to build out some of these pathways to create safer cycling.
The city of Saskatoon is undertaking an audit at the intersection of the fatal collision in May. There's no indication if it plans to do anything in response to the latest fatality. Drivers in this province may have dodged a speeding ticket thanks to poor batteries and damaged lenses on some automatic speed cameras. Over the winter, officials noticed the lenses of these camera boxes were starting to deteriorate, partially obscuring images recorded. When a license plate isn't clear, a ticket can't be issued. SGI also confirmed the camera and batteries needed to be changed to comply with federal regulations. But because of supply chain issues, that didn't happen.
It's very hard for us to say, to point to any one single factor. Having said that, the battery issue was fairly significant and we can definitely point to that as bringing down the number of tickets.
Speed enforcement cameras are used in Moose Jaw, Regina and Saskatoon. Regina police say there was a 54% drop in the number of tickets it issued in the first 6 months of 2023 compared to the same time last year. They say the damaged camera lenses were responsible for about 15% of the drop in tickets. Police say the remaining drop-off is because the automatic photo system is working to slow down drivers. Cold and flu season is upon us, and that means it's time for another round of influenza and COVID-19 booster shots. We caught up with Saskatchewan's Chief Medical Health Officer, Dr. Saqib Shahab, to get his advice.
So COVID really is now one of several respiratory viruses we expect to see pick up during the fall. End of September, early October, do remember to get your fall vaccines. So that includes the updated flu shot. As you know, the flu vaccine gets updated every year to match the strains that are circulating. And also this year, get your updated COVID vaccine. It's going to be a monovalent vaccine, not a bivalent. Up till now, a lot of the bivalent vaccines had the original strain and the updated Omicron strain. Now, because the only thing that's going around is Omicron, the fall vaccine is just going to have the updated Omicron strain that more closely matches the the COVID viruses going around right now. This is the best time to get an updated shot. It just boosts your immunity for both against influenza and COVID. So it provides you better protection and especially reduces your risk against severe outcomes, especially hospitalization. And COVID, it's really hard to make predictions. We certainly haven't seen COVID behave exactly like a seasonal virus. But having said that, we don't expect to see the same kind of waves we used to have in the past because we all have more immunity now. But certainly we do expect it to pick up a bit over the winter, partly because it's cold and we're all inside, but also because it's now more than 12 months since a lot of us got boosted. Right now, we're not really seeing any strong signals that would force us to do anything differently. The messages remain, if you have a cough or a cold, stay home till you're better. If you think you should get tested for COVID, the self-test kits are widely available. Test yourself. Even if the test is negative, doesn't mean you don't have COVID. But whether it's COVID or another respiratory illness, just stay home till you're better. If you go to the Saskatchewan.ca COVID testing website, we have pictures of all the tests that are available in Saskatchewan. Most of them are good, they haven't expired. But we have pictures of some tests that were expiring earlier this year, but the manufacturer expanded the expiry date. So most of them are good well into 2024. But we expect to see COVID trending up just like it is in other provinces and in Europe and the US. Nothing that's alarming is expected, and we fully expect other respiratory viruses, including influenza and RSVs, to start trending up in the fall as well.
Saskatchewan's latest job numbers are out, and the government and opposition are framing the results differently. The NDP held a news conference this morning. Leader Carla Beck says the province's unemployment rate has risen for the third month in a row to 5.4%. But the government is framing that rate as positive, calling it the third lowest in the country. Beck says Saskatchewan has the worst year-over-year job growth among provinces at 0.9%. While the government says compared to last year, there are 4,600 more jobs.
If people are wondering, who to believe with regard to the numbers, another check is, am I better off than I was 5 years ago? Are my neighbors better off? Are more businesses opening, or am I seeing more businesses closing? Am I seeing more people not able to pay their bills in this province? Can my kids find jobs here?
Beck says building permits, when seasonally adjusted, have dropped by 40% year over year. However, the government says housing starts are up by 50% from July of 2022 to July of 2023. The Saskatchewan Rate Review Panel is recommending SaskEnergy lowers a recent proposed rate increase. SaskEnergy had applied for a 31% commodity rate increase and an 8% delivery rate increase in 2022. But the panel found that SaskEnergy's financial results were stronger than originally predicted, so the increase didn't need to be that high. The panel is now recommending the commodity rate be reduced from 4.2 a gigajoule to 3.2. It's also recommending a delivery rate of 5% for the 2023-24 fiscal year and no more increases in 2025. The final decision on these changes will be made by Cabinet once the minister can review the report. The skies in our province usually come alive during the summer. Severe storms and tornadoes can happen often, and they can cause widespread damage. But this summer has been a record-breaking storm season for all the opposite reasons. Our weather specialist Ethan Williams has more.
This is the first recorded tornado in Saskatchewan this year. It happened just outside of Regina at the end of May, and while it did cause damage to a farm, thankfully nobody was hurt. It turns out that was also the only recorded tornado in the province this year, and that sets a new record for Saskatchewan's lowest yearly tornado count. Nearly 40 years worth of tornado counts shows we've had high and low numbers through the years, but none as low as 2023. We also saw the lowest number of July lightning strikes on record this year, and the second lowest number of August strikes. One forecaster says the dry spring prevented storms from firing up.
Because if it's dry, the crops that are growing don't give off as much moisture. And that's a big contributor to the thunderstorms that we see across the prairies.
And our atmosphere was also just quieter. Weather systems that could have brought us moisture or triggered storms seemed to pass us by. Another factor could be the forest fire smoke. It blocks the sun's rays, and the heat from those rays is needed to get storms firing. And while this is just 1 year of data, it could be part of a larger trend. Data from the Northern Tornadoes Project shows since 2017, tornadoes as well as downbursts and wind damage events have happened more in Ontario and Quebec than on the prairies, meaning Canada's traditional prairie tornado alley may be shifting.
We know that there are studies out there, especially in the US, that have found this subtle shift going on from the traditional tornado belt through the plains into more eastern areas, and that same kind of thing may be happening in Canada, and the data we're collecting certainly seems to support that.
The NTP is still trying to figure out why the shift is happening and whether climate change is playing a role. It'll also be checking to see if tornadoes were missed in Saskatchewan's count this year. Tornado numbers can vary drastically from year to year, so experts say don't be fooled into thinking our days of tornado danger are over. Ethan Williams, CBC News, Regina.
Well, whether we like it or not, we're getting real fall vibes outdoors. The trees are starting to shed leaves of all different colors, but gorgeous blue sky over Saskatoon today. It's always nice when it's clear out there. What are we looking at for the weekend ahead? Ethan will have your full forecast after the break. Stay with us.
This weather update is brought to you by Capital Ford Lincoln. Truck Mania is on now.
Welcome back. Our weather specialist Ethan Williams joins me now. What a beautiful start to our weekend today.
Yeah, we've been really lucky all week having some nice weather, and it looks like the weekend shaping up pretty nice too. In fact, take a look at current temperatures right now, and this is pretty much bang on seasonal for this time of year for a lot of us, sitting right around the 20-degree mark, except you see a much cooler situation in southwestern Saskatchewan. Some places barely cracking 10 degrees today. Why is that? Well, we have this area of moisture, of showers moving through the southwest. They're catching the edge of a low-pressure system moving through Montana. Otherwise, though, through the province, we're looking at those clearing conditions, but a bit of cloud cover starting to move in through southern Saskatchewan. Again, those showers mostly moving eastward through the night tonight and kind of as we head through the evening hours here in the south. A few thunderstorm cells, though, popping up in Montana, likely going to stay on that side of the border. Now, once this cloud cover and chance of showers moves through this evening, overnight tonight we start to see things start to clear out through the province. You see this multitude of high pressure areas moving through over these next few days here. I've been mentioning that that's kind of a theme that we're seeing over this next little while here. Tomorrow looking at a mostly sunny day through the province, and Sunday a bit of a repeat situation as this area of high pressure stays locked in place to our east. We are looking for generally another 5 millimeters possibly in southwestern sections tonight, but as you can see eastward from there, that rain very quickly dropping off, and so places like even Swift Current, Moose Jaw, Regina, eastward, really not expecting too much moisture, just a chance of some rain showers for us this evening before that drops off. High pressure also keeps the winds down over these next couple of days, so we're really not seeing that pick up all that much, and that's going to be helpful for our smoke situation. We have a lot of events happening in the province this weekend, and really couple of models now have been showing that there's not much to see in terms of that smoke. The fires in the Northwest Territories kind of backing off a bit, and we hope that that will be a continuing situation through the weekend. Now, in terms of our temperatures, you see this bit of a ridge developing to our west here, and as we go through these next couple of days, that's going to continue to build a bit into the atmosphere and locking in place. And as we head into the start of next week, as we see that move eastward, we do have kind of that ridge of warmer air that's starting to nose its way into southern Saskatchewan, and you'll see that reflected in our forecast, even in Regina, where we are starting the weekend on a very nice note, very pleasant, just above average for this time of year. Those overnight lows, you'll notice, will likely get back into those double digits as we head into the beginning of next week, and even some mid-20s, pretty nice for mid-September. A little breezy possibly as we head into next week. For Saskatoon, we're looking at identical days pretty much Saturday, Sunday. You can count on winds being not too bad either for those days too. And then as we head into Monday, Tuesday, could see winds pick up a little bit at times, but otherwise those overnight lows could be even getting into the teens at some points here. So Sam, I'm going to just crack my knuckles, dust my hands off. That's my forecast for the week. Whew.
I would say that's perfect, too, for people running QCM this weekend. That's perfect weather.
Yes, exactly. And if that smoke stays away, it'll be even better.
Take the credit when you can.
Exactly.
Thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
Well, it's always a relief to reunite with a loved one who was away getting an urgent medical care. That feeling is not unique to humans. This baby chimp is now back in the arms of his surrogate mom after being treated for a snake bite at an Australian zoo. The 3-year-old was bitten inside the chimpanzee enclosure on Tuesday. The little one was whisked away and received immediate treatment and care overnight. We'll be back after the break.
Comes to your news, you want up-to-the-minute access. Anytime, anywhere. Get the facts straight from the source. Download the free CBC News app or visit cbcnews.ca for news you can trust.
Welcome back. Hawaii is marking 1 month since a devastating wildfire tore through Maui. It killed more than 100 people and displaced thousands. During the crisis, tourists were advised to stay away. But as Sarah Levitt reports, officials are reversing course.
It was a public call by residents and officials alike. Don't come to Maui. Now, though, tourists are being urged to come back.
People who come to Maui, with the exception of the part of West Maui and Lahaina that's been affected, they will be helping us to heal and recover.
On August 8th, the fire swept through Lahaina, destroying the historic town. Residents raced to get out, some jumping into the ocean to survive. Many didn't make it. More than 100 people died, and hundreds of others are still missing, yet to be identified.
Our devastation is not your vacation.
The disaster prompted many to say tourists aren't welcome, including celebrities like Hawaiian Jason Momoa. Maui is not the place to have your vacation right now, he wrote on Instagram. But a month later, another reality has set in. Tourism in Maui accounts for 40% of its economy.
Everyone's realized that this will be a bigger disaster than just the wildfires if the economy crashes as well.
For the past 10 years, Morgan Miller has been running a sushi food truck in central Maui, a small business he's managed to survive so far.
I'd say it's kind of a sad truth, but it is the truth that in the modern society that exists in Maui, there are most people making a living out here based on tourism.
Tourism is not Maui's savior.
Catherine Duchesneau lost her home in Lahaina and her job in tourism. But she wants her community to be the focus, not visitors.
Businesses do need to thrive and our people do need to be employed, but we need conscious tourism. Living this, the government as a whole continues to fail the residents and put the tourists in front of the residents in general.
This week, a Hawaiian senator said the spirit of aloha remains strong in the community, but help is still necessary, particularly for those who are left without homes. Sarah Levitt, CBC News,
And Ethan's back with one last look at your weather this week.
And starting on a mainly sunny note in Regina tomorrow. Again, a little bit of haze at times with forest fire smoke, a little bit. We're not expecting that to be a really big issue through the weekend. Afternoon looking pretty seasonal, 21 degrees under those mainly sunny skies, winds nice and light. You heard us talking about the QCM, and in time for the first races Sunday morning. Looks a little chilly, but actually 7 degrees, perfect for those runners, or I should say walkers, that are taking off at 7 a.m. Saskatoon, we're looking at 9 degrees at 8 a.m. tomorrow, and as we head into the afternoon, again, that sunshine sticking around, sitting around 20 degrees. And if you're heading to the Broadway Street Fair in Saskatoon, very nice afternoon, 22 degrees, winds not too bad either, around 3 o'clock. It's like this weekend was made for all these events, Sam.
So much stuff going on in all the big cities. Lots of football this weekend as well, too.
Yeah, that's true, yes.
All right, thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
And before we leave you tonight, a Regina family recently landed a spot on Family Feud Canada. The fun-loving Hackowich family has a quirky outlook on life and happens to be huge Rider fans. We caught up with them earlier today.
Hi, Family Feud Canada. I'm Lance Hackowich from Regina, Saskatchewan.
My girlfriend actually had sent me the link saying that Family Feud Canada was starting their taping and needed families for this season coming up. So I said to Lance, I said, hey, check this out. I think it would be super fun for our family to do it. We do trivia nights once a month, and we are competitive. So it's just something that we were just like, TV aside, it was just something that we felt would just be a great fit. We're definitely a family filled with characters, especially this guy. He is full of a ton of energy, and his sister is a carbon copy of him.
Up next for the Hackowich family, we have my sister. I've known her all her life, Brenda Ward.
Hi, my name's Brenda and I work at the Italian Star Deli.
To prepare, we watched a lot of Family Feud Canada. We went back on YouTube and on streaming and watched pretty much every episode that was out there over the last 4 seasons that they had. Okay, Kat, the top 5 answers are on the board. We surveyed 100 people in Regina to find out what's unique and cool about living in Regina.
I'm gonna have to go with Wascana Park.
We have something in our house called the Rider Room. It has its own social media with a whole bunch of followers. And in there we have a lot of vintage Rider stuff. We got to show you the bread from 1951. This here little loaf of bread was produced by McGavin's Bakery just to celebrate the fact that the Riders were going to the Grey Cup. They didn't even win the Grey Cup that year. And I was the kid that was picking bottles and cutting lawns and grabbing the bus down to Taylor Field and buying that ticket in the rookie section and sitting with all the other kids.
And my favorite thing to do in the city is go to Rider games with my family in the summer. As you can tell, we're big fans by the collection that we have, and we've been season ticket holders for 25 years.
This yellow bench right here was the bench in Taylor Field where me and my family sat for 20 years. We bought the whole row of section 25, row 15. Makes you quirky.
I don't know. I think we just wake up, and the motto of the Hackowich family is, we're gonna die living, not live dying.
You can catch their episode this winter before the end of the year. That is it for us this week. For News Anytime, head to our website or subscribe to our YouTube channel or download the CBC News app. Ethan and I will be back with more tonight at 11. Thanks for watching and have a great weekend.